The first reading today seems to talk a lot about trust. And in there, the prophet says that we have to be careful who we place our solid trust in. And so basically, and I'm going to paraphrase it for our own purposes, is he kind of puts together side by side. He says there's those who trust solely in society, and there are those who trust solely in God. And obviously, the prophet is trying to encourage people to trust more in God, to make that your root and core of strength. And that it really kind of hit me when I was reading that. I read it over many times over this past week. And it reminded me of something in my own life as a matter of trust. Trust because I was pretty much afraid. I didn't know how things would turn out. I was in 8th grade here at Our Lady of Peace, and my 8th grade year was the first time ever that if you went to a Catholic school, that the public school system would bus you to your home or pick you up and get you to school in the morning. To this very day, you'll see those yellow buses come by, and they'll pick up public school kids and Catholic school kids. Well, this one particular time, it was just brand new. It was just in this first opening few weeks that we were allowed to take a public school bus. It picked us up here at Our Lady of Peace, and we loaded in whoever going in that direction. I lived in that direction. And then got on the bus, and we were to go and then get off at our certain stops. The assumption was they were going to drop us off where we always got dropped off. Well, you can't make that assumption when things are brand new. And from what I would gather, there were different opinions about whether it was right or wrong to include the Catholic school kids on a public school bus. And so there we were. We went across 38th Street all the way to Asbury Road, and then we were to turn and go north on Asbury. And my family home is near the middle of it. There's 2-lane avenue. So we get off there and walk a block and a half. We were home. Being the 8th grader, I was a safety patrol. I got to wear a badge. It was the coolest thing in the world for me. And so as we're going along, things seemed to be okay. And then at the corner, we stopped, and the bus driver said, "Okay, you boys get off." And I said, "Oh, no. I said, we go down a little bit more. We drop us off there." He says, "My instructions say you get dropped off here. You're no one special, and I'm not going to stop." He says, "Either that or go all the way to 26th Street. Well, at that time, I'm an 8th grader. My middle brother was in 6th grade. The youngest one was in 2nd grade, just a little Schaefer. And I didn't quite know what to do. Here's an adult that I'm supposed to trust, and he's dumping us off on very busy Asbury Road at an intersection which is equally busy. I didn't know what to do. So I talked to my mom and dad, and they were concerned, but I took things in my own hands, which may have been good or bad. The next day, the bus dropped us off here, and I walked over to the little house because the church wasn't built yet. That was the rectory. And I knocked at the back door, and there was Monsignor Daly. "What do you want, boy?" For those of you who knew him, that's how we talked. "What do you want, boy?" And I said, "Monsignor," his father, Daly at that time, "Father, there was a problem on the bus. Can I talk to you about it?" "Very well. I was going to have my coffee, but okay." So he sat me down at the table. "What's up? What's going on?" And I explained what happened. He goes, "That's not right. They should have dropped you off where they were supposed to drop you off." He says, "I'll handle it." And I said, "You will?" "Believe me, I will handle it." "Thank you, Father." And I ran like a bunny rabbit across the school, got back in my classroom before the bell rang. Later that day, we get back on the bus, go across 38th Street, and on the corner of 38th and Asbury, so I'm standing up saying, got to stand up, get ready to drag my little baby brother with me. And he goes, No. We got clarification of what we're supposed to do. They got clarification from Father Daly himself. I guess my trust really paid off, because I knew of one thing about him, that he was kind of rough and tumble in his words, but he loved the children very deeply. And I think that that is something that when it comes to discerning who should I trust, we have to ask ourselves, am I going to trust the person that I get my way with, or am I going to trust the person who truly cares about me? And I think that that is one of the things I'd like to leave with you tonight regarding the virtue of trust. Because it's easy to like people that do things our way, but sometimes it's a lot harder to engage in that conversation and ultimately to truly trust the person who wants our best. There's a difference between my way and what is best. Thanks be to God, it worked out well for me a long time ago. But I think as I evaluate my own life, as I've walked through life myself, is there are times that I made good trusting decisions and bad trusting decisions. And so this is the little thing I'd like you to remember when you walk out the door today. Ask yourself, ultimately, who do you trust and why? If it's because you trust them because they wish your good, they wish your health, they wish your well-being, stick with it. Or do you trust them because you get your way? Well, then rethink it through. Sometimes trust can be confusing, but I found that using that little tool helped me out a lot in my life. May God continue to bless you as you trust others this week.